Well, good evening. I choked there. Good evening. I hope we're all well. A little bit of a time since we've done a live, but tonight we've got some great guests on. Um, First of all, I'd like to introduce you to a man who failed to get the part in a professor at Hogwarts in Harry Potter. It's Paul Capaldi.
You caught me
You
out
do look
then.
like-
I was about to add in one of the other two to the stream. But
You do look like the kind of guy that would have been in, like, I don't know, a Professor
Yep.
Someday in Hogwarts. You'd have fitted
Well-
the character very well.
yeah. I mean, my one of my internet names for many years was the Mad Professor, and that was given to me by none other than Mark Courtney himself. So,
Oh well.
yeah.
Well, I think we'll introduce the next man to appear. What else can we say? It's one half of the Shouty Brothers. It's James Black.
Hello. How we doing, guys?
All good, James. All the better for seeing yourself. And how's your week been? You'll be excited about Saturday night at the Speedway at Shielfield Park once again.
I'm looking forward to it. And just no pressure, but nothing less than 15 will do, I'm afraid, Greg.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll see what we can do. And the only way that I can possibly get 15 points is by having this man working on machinery, shouting at me in the pits, and all at the same time just keeping the rest of the boys' heads in the game. It's none other than Kevin Sid Little.
Hello. Sounds like I've got a busy night on Saturday, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Doesn't it? Bloody hell.
you got quite a few things to do.
I have.
But overall-
I've got to get your bike ready first. That's priority number one.
It's sitting in bits at the moment because I got the dreaded call a couple of days. It was actually Monday. I laid the bike down at Leicester. One of the Thompson boys. I still don't know what it was. He got a punch in front of me, so I laid it down and inevitably it bent the bike. No seriously, because I could still ride it, but it wasn't great. So that's up to get fucking cat. I mean,
Cat's back.
it's been a while since he appeared. But no matter, we've got Mr. Little on duty getting that done. And we might as well batter straight in it, Kev. How have you been enjoying the coach sort of thing? A bit different side to Speedway for you than what you're used to?
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I am thoroughly enjoying it, I should say, in the present tense. It has been brilliant. Right from the beginning, when we started it last year, when I got asked to do it. So it's been a continuation from there, and being part of you boys and the management as well with Gary, and obviously you boys as well. It's been brilliant, and to see all you guys progressing last year and in this year to the position that we've got to this year, which was kind of what would set a wee target at the beginning of the season to get the playoffs. We've achieved that, so the next stage is obviously do as well as we can there. But the whole thing has been magic. I love it.
And that's the thing. The funny, I remember last year when we sort of had a practice before we got going. You were, when Gary had said, "Oh, we'll get Kev doing and have Kev there to give the boys a hand," and it was quite funny because no disrespect to you at all, but there was a few boys there that hadn't a clue who you were.
No, they wouldn't. No, different generation.
Complete different generation. It's like,
who's this guy? What's he know?
Who's this guy telling us what to do at the start line? And but no, I mean that one night that we had, obviously it was behind closed doors. Nobody's seen it, but it was a cold night, and it was just a case of you said, "Right, lads, start a lap, and then back to the start again, and just continue to do that because that's what you need to work on. Because as everybody knows, that's getting out the gate to being a speed rider is one of the most important things. I mean, it's very difficult to come to the back and do the overtaking, but the work that you done with the boys was tremendous. I mean, I know you're still almost 2 years down the line, you're still banging your head trying to get me to get at the start a bit better. But certainly,
well, it's an important part of the game.
You'll have seen that yourself with some of them lads that you've brought on. It must be quite a nice feeling for you to have seen that you've even just a tiny little word in somebody's ear before they go out and they do what you've said to them to do, and then they do it on track. Must be quite a nice thing for you, that.
Yeah, it is. It is good to see that. Occasionally it happens. with the two, and they pull it off. But it's easy for me to say it. Doing it is something completely different because it's very difficult on the bike, and there's so much going on between the start line, the first corner, the second. There's so much going on in the race. It's very difficult to process that quickly and make it all happen within a race. So sometimes it does work for whatever reason. Things can happen and it does work. And that little bit of maybe something that I've mentioned at the first corner or off the start line, which gives them that little bit, and then they're away. It does give you me a bit of satisfaction, obviously, and then more so for one of the boys because they're getting to be better because of it.
How important do you think that is, Kevin? That young riders like do have somebody like yourself like in their sort of corner? Because I know like from a sort of a fan's perspective, you often look at like a certain rider and you often think, like if he had someone in his corner, like a Kevin Little or like someone,
that's it,
how much better could that rider be, or someone to just kind of be watching the things that they don't see and things like that. Like it's I don't think people probably appreciate just how important that can probably be.
It can be. Yeah, I mean, it starts at that level, and it goes right the way through. You see guys in the I've got this pen here. You see guys right up into the Grand Prix. They've got Jason Crump with them. They've got riders in the corner. Greg Hancock says helping out boys. So I think it's important at any level, especially at the younger level as well. But obviously, even when you're at the top, having a set of an experienced pair of eyes and ears. It's a big help. So, but especially when you're learning and you're picking up stuff all the time, having that extra pair of eyes and ears. It's maybe seen it and done it before. Not seen and done it all, obviously, but have seen and experienced these things in races and meetings up and down the land. So you pick things up as you go along. So if you can pass on them little bits, and then that, I guess it calms their mind as well. Sometimes as well, if you're putting stuff in and talking to them about things that just kind of, if they're a little bit nervous or, just nervous basically about things, whether it be a race or the equipment or something like that, or they're not too sure. It's always handy to have somebody who's got an answer. Might not be the right answer, but they've got someone to say to help them on.
It's better to have an answer than not to have one. And going back, I mean, we've started at the now. I mean, if we go back to not too long ago when a young Kevin Little hit the track.
Wow! I remember that. I remember that. I don't know the
fresh faced and ready to go.
I can't even remember.
Did you have? I mean, who was your sort of like to get into Speedway? First, tell us how you got into Speedway, and again, who was there? Who was a rider that or certain riders that helped you along your way?
You see, if I go back to then, you had like the the Bandits team,
89,
like
the greatest Bandits team of all time.
Before that was like when I was starting, because I was starting like at 86, 87.
Right.
I think probably from a rider. Bob Grant was probably the most helpful. Yeah. But everybody kind of helped a little bit. But Granty would tell you stuff, I suppose, and sometimes he would, which I always thought was valuable. He would sometimes, if you're always out doing the wee second half and that, after the meeting at Berwick and Lough, and he would sometimes come out with you to frighten the life out of you and that just to show you how slow you were going and how rubbish you were. And he'd go around there and you're like, oh, bloody hell. And
would you not sometimes come alongside and turn your throttle?
No, I don't.
I'm sure I remember seeing that. He
I never did that to me.
no, not to you, but one or two of the guys. I mean,
I'm sure he did.
Must be a
he was capable of anything and probably did it.
Yeah.
There was no doubt about that. But that's probably where them guys at that time, they were all pretty helpful, and you just kind of watched and see what they were up to. But there was never like somebody who looked after us as such. we just kind of the boys would just try and help out after the meeting because we just do second halves, and then we'd go to Felton on a Sunday, and there might be somebody there who was riding in a team, and they're just there for a bit of practice, and they'd come and obviously try and help you a wee bit and say, "Oh, you want to try and do this?" Or
and sometimes it's the simplest of little things as well, isn't it? I mean, even if you're just like I've seen lads myself, and I thought, to be honest, I've never actually thought that myself have been in that position of saying to a younger lad that I don't really know to like approach him and say, "Oh, by the way, I wouldn't do that. Try that." But you know, just to make life a bit easier. But even just the simplest, tiniest thing can change the way somebody rides a bike completely. And the thing that I've found is mad is that obviously years and years ago when I was like 15, 16-year-old, I had you there and I had Robbo and whoever else was daft enough to come along and give us any kind of advice. But now, I'm in my 30s now. I've got like Leon Flint.
Yeah, you have, yeah, exactly. And it doesn't make sense because he's only 19 and he's like, what? But he knows he's done a lot more meetings than probably I've done already. And he's modern, which is the big thing.
Yeah. So it's like the strange. Here's Lee. It's a strange thing to have because I know people are saying, "Oh, you've got like the National Development League," and there's people saying you shouldn't have the older riders in, you shouldn't have this, that, and everything else. But I probably would have to say that I've taken a lot more on board this, like with the younger lads, than what I would have when I first started out. Put your seatbelt on, Lee. It's pinging away.
Yeah,
I'm not now.
I thought I tuned in an episode of Police Chase Programmers.
Well, it could very well be. Lee's driving.
I'm just literally 5 minutes from home. Just finished work.
I realised you would be pushed for time, so no problem, Lee. No problem, Lee.
So what I'll do, I'll get off. I'll be back on in 5 minutes when I get home. Is that all right?
Well,
yeah, no problem.
Yeah, take a bit longer if you need because we've literally just started, and with these guys here, they can talk about Speedway for days, not just hours.
Well, I just think that. Yeah, that's fine. All right. Well, I'll be about 5 minutes tops.
No bother, Lee.
Cheers, pal.
Aye, sir. There we go. The young, even just speaking to Leon on Saturday night when we were at Leicester and we were talking about clutch setups.
Yeah, he's good.
And it's just, it's brilliant, isn't it? That you've got somebody that young who is not just pretty talented on a bike, but the knowledge that he's taken in as well. It's brilliant.
It teaches me a thing or two because he's like I say, he's modern. So there's all these different tricks nowadays. Although it's kind of still basically the same, but a little bit of
tiny little fine margins.
The fashion's changed. The fashion's changed a little bit. So you're going to okay, we'll do it that way now.
Well, Kevin,
essentially, it's still the same.
Could I ask you a question then? Because it's something that I've always found very interesting is that obviously ex-riders become team managers, promoters, mentors. Is there a certain type of character that's best suited to be a team manager as opposed to, say, a promoter or a mentor? I mentioned that obviously I'm a bit biased. My favourite bandit, I must admit, is obviously Mark Courtney. I was very close to him for a year, but it was suggested that he wouldn't make a good team manager, but he's a good mentor. So I just wondering, and as far as promotion is concerned, who can say anything against Scott and Jamie? But as a rider, Mark Courtney was. He had the world at his feet at one time. Second in the under 21. I think it was 1983. So is what is the difference between being somebody that's going to become a good team manager, promoter, mentor, and I also throw that to you, Greg, because you were mentioning about Gary Stead. You met up with Gary Stead, and he felt that he was not being listened to, so it's kind of like an open-ended question. What makes a good team manager, promoter, mentor?
Being good with people, I think being good with people is is the number one thing. If you're going to be a team manager, people who are more one-to-one or can talk about different things with particular riders, then that's more a mentor kind of thing. I don't know. And obviously being able to fill a program in is a big deal. And then being able to figure out when to put the rider in the right place and when to put this guy here and change the reserve for that. I still couldn't do that.
I mean, I must admit, the number of times I've looked at the program and I've thought, here's an obvious choice for a tactical change or of some sort of change, and the team manager doesn't do it, and it's like, why didn't you do that? And everybody around is like, why didn't he do that?
So you need to have like a certain
shit in the pits.
You do need to have some kind of knowledge of the rules as well, because I can't remember who it was. Probably a good job that I can't for naming and shaming them. But our last meeting at Milton Hall, obviously we were done RR, Crangy was off, and then Ace was out, and it was just a bit of a shambles the whole meeting. And somebody came over to me and says, "Oh, you better get your helmet on because you and Kyle will be going out for the tax sub." So I didn't have a clue. So I was all right. What gate am I getting? And then Flinty was like, "No, Diddy tax subs in the National League." I was like, "Oh, all right, helmet back up again." But, like, that's where you almost have to take your hat off to Flinty in that sense, because he's doing the Championship and he's doing the National League. Of course, it's pretty much the same, but there's some slight things that are a little bit different. Some wee rules here and there. So he's got to be on top of his game for both. He's got to switch off to one side and open up to the next, which can be quite a difficult job.
It'll be quite challenging. It will be challenging. I don't think it'd be anything that I think it's easy to stand and criticise these guys that are either promoting or it's a totally different ball game when they're actually doing it and they're at the sort of the sharp end of it, I suppose.
That's it. And well, I think we kind of got run a wee bit off the subject there with the whole team manager thing, but we were kind of at the start of your career, Kev. So if you want to talk us, we'll get back to that again.
That's all kind of black and white.
Aye, well, it was, wasn't it? The photos that I've seen certainly were anyway. So your first team. I mean, where was your first club? Where was the first place you got signed to?
I went to Glasgow for about a fortnight, and then I didn't ride for them anymore because I wasn't good enough. Then I went to Berwick, and that team manager then going through team managers would be Davy Fairbairn back in them days. So that was where it started there in 89 and 90 at Berwick, 91 at Berwick when Chris Morton was the team manager. We'll go through a team manager list. 92, I went to Bradford, and then Alan Ham was my team manager there, and he was promoter there as well. Great bloke, Alan. And then 93 was Edinburgh, which was at Powder Hall.
Was the 92 year, Kev, at Bradford? Was that the year that you broke your leg?
Yeah.
And then that was just I'm sure it was my dad that had mentioned it, that you broke. Was the fence just a solid? Wasn't much given this fence, and did you just come off?
No, that's right. No, it was a first corner incident, and basically I clipped someone's back wheel and just. I have no recollection of it. I've never seen it, and
just skidded into the fence with a leg out and bang.
Yeah, the only evidence obviously is the marks on my leg, and in fact my leg's a different shape, and there was a footprint in the Bradford fence where I hit it. Of my boot, which is a true story, because we walked round, so went back a few weeks later or months later and all that, and there was a footprint in the fence.
Wow. Kevin, can I just take you back? 1989 for the Bandits, you did 11 meetings.
I did.
1990, you did 20 meetings.
Right.
And for the Gold Cup winning year, which arguably would be the greatest Bandits team of all time, 1991, you did 28 meetings.
I was ever present. I know that in the 91 season. Was it 91? Yeah.
Yeah, 91.
Ever present then. Hello, Lee.
Yeah.
Hello there.
There we go.
Right.
And then you like we were discussing before because we were actually having a wee blather earlier on in the workshop. Like going back to like the Bullet squad and the team now, was it 95? Would you say there were some similarities in them teams just with the local factor? Am I right in saying it was 95?
94 and 95, but 95 there was some local boys. There was myself and David Meldrum, who obviously is very local in Berwick, and Michael Lowry as well, who's a local boy at Gibra. So that was the nucleus of the local boys. So the same kind of thing as what we've got with the Bullets now, with enough local boys right near Coldstream. And I don't know what the technical term is for the salutation. There's a guy who lives near the salutation. I don't know where. Is that class is Norham?
Norham. We'll go with that. We'll go with
Norham.
Norham or Ancroft, one of the.
And you're selling Gibra, so it's similar with a few boys dotted around as well, but they're all pretty much local. Similarities.
And it would be, and the thing is, for the similarities, and I mean, you know it, and Lee, you'll know it as well. When you've got a team like riders that you're actually having good crack with, and you all have like a good lot of laughs, it makes it a lot better, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, when you go guesting for someone, because you are riding with them week in, week out, you do feel like it's just not that the same, is it? But no, definitely, I totally agree with that, without a doubt.
I've almost felt that guesting is, for me, I remember at the start of the season, I guested up at Edinburgh for the Monarchs, and walking into changing rooms, it was almost like, it was like what it was like going your first day at school.
Yeah.
Walked into changing rooms with the boys, and they were all sitting there, all huddled. Majority of them are all Aussies, and they were all having crack together. And I came in and sat there, and they were just like, "You all right?" And I was just like, "Yeah."
Oh, so in other words, you're saying you got picked on.
At least the Milton Hall boys have got something to cheer about this weekend, because they're going to be awfully upset tomorrow.
That was a different kind of guest booking that day.
Sorry about that, Lee. Carry on, Lee.
But yeah, they weren't happy. We're getting big cheers off the Milton Hall boys, and I says, "You'll not be cheering them on when you come to Berwick and we hump you," and which we did. I was worried I was going to eat my words, but no, it didn't happen.
Well, do you want to watch a bit of footage of that? Because obviously we've got the man that is credited as being the best ever around Shielfield Park. So would you like to see a little bit of Greg Blair's impression of Lee Complin?
Yeah.
Well, why not? Why not? Why wouldn't we?
Look, Muffin off yellow. So, there's nothing a given in this one, but you can bet your bottom dollar the box office Blair will be doing absolutely everything to throw the proverbial at the Fen Tiger Man should he need it.
Yeah, it's we've been treated to some fantastic action here tonight.
We really have.
And National League Speedway, it's pretty bloody entertaining.
It really is, and you only hope from a Bullet's perspective that Greg's dug deep into his toolbox, reached out and found a start out of somewhere and can just rip Snort away from the start, get his wheels in line. But we're about to find out in this one, James. Rev's going high, Star Marshal away, tapes rise. Who's made the best fist of it? It's Alex Spooner and white, but Ben Rathbone on the inside's made a brilliant start. Curry block the move of Alex Spooner, and here comes box office as well.
Yeah, Ben Rathbone making a rip snorting start there, getting the better of Alex Spooner, and Greg Blair is in third place at the moment. A 4-2 of the Bullets as things stand at the moment, but you just know that Greg Blair's going to throw absolutely everything that he has at Alex Spooner.
Comes Blair.
Here comes Greg Blair going for the big pass.
There for Blair.
Not quite getting there. Alex Spooner hangs on into second place. Here it comes again, rounds bend 1 and 2. 2 laps to go.
There's
Blair comes round to the inside. Can he make it work over the corner? He's done him! Bullets on a 5-1, which means if it stays like this, or at least the worst they can do is a draw tonight. Absolute crucial.
My goodness!
Blair all out of shape. What on earth are you doing, Greg Blair? But Ben Rathbone out in front, looking so fast and so stylish. And if it stays like this, he's going to be the man of the match for me tonight. Ben Rathbone's been absolutely tremendous.
Bucking and rearing all over the shop, managing to stay on the bicycle.
High, wide and handsome indeed is Greg Blair.
Yes! Ben Rathbone stealing a march.
Yeah, Ben Rathbone. Reserve switch. What an astute bit of team management that was.
It really was, and hats off to him. He made a brilliant start, rode a clever first and second bend, and, well, you said it before the race, if there was a man that you needed to do the business when it mattered, it was Box Office, and he duly delivered. He was more out of shape than Zebedee at times, but he done the business, and I would say that he's pretty chuffed with that one.
I don't know.
Absolutely buzzing.
Does he look chuffed to you?
Just a bit. And the T-sider, Ben Rathbone behind him.
I tell you, for me tonight, Ben Rathbone's been man of the match for me tonight.
I can't go against that, you know. And of course, one race to go.
Crucial.
The Bullets have put themselves in a fantastic driving seat in this one.
They really have. 44-40. One race to go. Which way is it going to go? We'll find out very, very shortly.
Greg.
How did
I've got a couple of things for you, Greg.
Here we go.
Very interesting.
This is like going back to the pits after one of these rides.
Yes, the first one where you went high and wide, yeah, and then that's obviously that's me. But did I ever get out of shape like that coming out of the corner?
Oh, fuck.
No.
I'm just trying to recall it. That's all. I think of it just looked like exactly like me, to be honest.
Yeah, a few times. I think the last time we seen something like that was on the BSN at Plymouth, and fuck is all I have to say there. It was like, you think Lee's trying? It was just.
Did you not see the race last night?
What was that? Were you on telly last night?
Yeah.
The Devils versus Plymouth.
Oh no, I missed that one. Actually.
Right, well, that's the old Lee Complin.
Oh, was it? Oh, were you giving it some?
It was like literally railing it, mate.
And actually, bone to pick, James. How can you give man of the match to somebody that gates and goes?
Well, you see,
Because he hadn't done that all night.
yeah, you see, you could learn a lot, Greg. But
Let's give him the man of the match. You hardly seen him on screen, but we'll give him man of the match.
that particular night, it was obviously that meeting was quite close all the way through, and on that particular night, it was we'd spoken about before the meeting. We're saying, no, which way is it going to go tonight? And we were saying, it's going to be one of those nights where it's going to be the difference for, the likes of yourself, Greg, Kyle Beckley, and Luke Crang. You know generally what you guys are going to do and what you expect to do. And it was going to be one of those nights where you needed someone that just to step up just that little bit and stand out, maybe just perform that little bit better than maybe they would be expected. And on that particular night, Ben was brilliant, to be honest. It was, and it was good to see, because obviously he had struggled at the start of the season because he hadn't had a lot of time on the bike. He was coming back from injury, and as the seasons went on, he has gotten better and better. So on that night, that was my justification for it, Greg.
I mean, that is fair enough. And Kev, I know that maybe, I know you work with a lot of the guys closely with him in the Bullets team. But you and Ben you spend quite a lot of time with Ben, just because Ben will turn up at a meeting and he's always very quiet, so you never know what's going on. Whereas I can turn up and I can be bouncing all over the place and I'll have a shite night, or I'll be bouncing all over the place and have a good night. Whereas you never quite know what's the deal with Ben.
No, that's it. I think he's a little bit nervous sometimes, and you kind of wonder maybe if he's got a little bit of, I don't know, if he has the confidence in that. If you can see it in his eyes some nights, so you just have to try and kind of just kind of keep with him and encourage him, and so he's got that bit of confidence, and sometimes that you can see it grow during the meeting with him. Actually, he'd be a little bit tentative in his first ride or two, and then he gets going. So he can be a bit nervous before matches. Everybody's different. They have their own way of portraying themselves before a meeting, and sometimes even at the end of the meeting, he can break into a smile, which is what we all want to see.
I mean, you can never write Ben off, because Ben can go out his first race and have a really bad last. Yeah, he can have a really bad last in the first race, and then his last race he'll have a really good win, like what we just seen there. So yeah, it's a funny. We're getting feedback for somebody. I don't know who. Have you got headphones, Lee?
No.
That might be yours, actually. That might be what the feedback is.
I'll just check.
Aye, I think it is. Maybe
Try
it
again.
is coming. Aye, it's definitely. I think it's coming from Mr. Complin. I'm getting a wee bit of feedback there. I might get him some headphones. Sort of.
But no, it can be. It's like that with all the boys. You can, everybody's got a different character before a meeting. Some people like to, take themselves away a little bit, or they're quite quiet. And Ben's probably no different from a lot of riders, but we always try and get him to get going before after his first race, or even from the word go. Really, sometimes it takes a race to get going. And I think the other thing, the side of the coin with especially you boys, is the gap between meetings can have a big effect on you boys, because you turn up for a meeting, you're out, and then you haven't ridden for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. So there's always an element of nervousness and anticipation then before it's. But if you're racing all the time, it becomes you become more used to it, and it becomes a bit more second nature. But when you get in the swing of it and you've had a few meetings and you're going, and then all of a sudden you haven't ridden for 3-4 weeks, as it's been the case for us in September between Mildenhall and Leicester. There it was almost 4 weeks. So that's tough for
some of us. Can't fit in their
Kevlars. A lot of things can change in a month.
Can I just because I promised last week, and we didn't do it live last week, but I did promise Gary Kennedy that it was Stefan's birthday last, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday. Could we all wish Stefan Kennedy a happy birthday?
Oh,
James, I'm sure you know Gary well. He's taken my flag all the way around the country.
Yeah, I've known Gary a long time. Stefan's a good lad, so happy birthday, Stefan. Or belated birthday wishes, I should say. So I'm sure we'll get him on at some point. Have a bit of crack, because it'd be good to get the opinions of someone younger than me that isn't Greg.
And also in general, like supporters of the Bandits. We're not just about the sort of high end, top earners, the high wage bracket people, the riders and the mentors and stuff, and the commentators and the live streamers. We'll cater for everybody.
For all. There's no elite.
Exactly. So anyway, I think
Lee's, what we could do? Lee's he's getting his headphones sorted out. Seems like a good one. So yes, we got off subject. Getting back onto that, Kev, we talked about that absolute dream team that we had in 94 and 95 that you were in yourself. Would that be right in saying that you won everything that was on offer that year?
Well, not me personally, but the team did. There was all sorts of competition. I think there was 4 competitions, and we managed to win them all, including individual riders, the league title. There was a pairs event, and the cup as well. I guess there'll be a cup match or a cup competition as well. So the Bandits managed to clean up everything in 95. I remember. I think.
And that'd have been some years for you. And I mean, going off the back of that would have set you up with a hell of a lot of confidence to take you. Did that take you into the big league in '96? And the only reason I say,
that's when it went from the 3-league system, and then they went all 1 league in '96.
That was Coventry, was it?
Yeah, I went to Coventry, and I got lucky with that because I guessed it somewhere in '95. I think at Long Eaton for them, and I scored I was a 3rd division reserve, and I managed to score 5 or 6 points, something ridiculous like that. And I think I got another chance somewhere else. And obviously, I guess on the back of that, they kept an interest or kept an eye on me, and I went there the next season to Coventry with the big boys. For all, it was only the 1 league rather than it being the full elite league. But that was brilliant. Then at the time, that was going to Coventry, which was one of the biggest clubs in the country.
Kevin, can I just ask you a little bit about this then? So going back to, started 1989 and you're progressing, but by 1995, 96, it's still a case of riding for Berwick, albeit in the 3rd division, but you're gradually building up, getting the knowledge, getting the experience. And I just wonder if, and don't take this the wrong way, you were sort of like this sort of gradual progress, and yet we've seen some people that have gone off the charts early on, and then they've slowed down, and they just need to keep going, or is it, or hopefully we don't see some of those that have been hyped early on suddenly lose interest because they're not making the progress they think they should.
Yeah, that's true. It does happen. It happens in any sport, doesn't it? Where you get put in a pedestal and then you come crashing down off it. But other people go the other way. They start off and there's no great shakes, but they're just steady away. And then one day or 1 year, they crack it and they're off. It may take longer than others. Might take a couple of years, take a few seasons. It seems nowadays that a lot of guys turn up and they're really good at a young age, and then they've got a good career ahead of them. That does seem to happen more and more this day and age, where back in my day there was a lot of maybe, what can you say, distractions maybe. It was a little bit less professional than what it is now. So I think young kids now that come into it, they hit the ground running and they're away. You can see that the success of the young kids all over Europe, I suppose, but more so the British guys who are coming through through the 250cc class, which has been really successful the last few years. But yeah, you can be a late developer. Nothing wrong with that. That's fine.
You just said now about distractions and it wasn't as so professional. Question to you is, what would you have like? Say you could just for example, you had a time machine.
Yeah.
Would you go back to do it all again, or would you like to be a 15-year-old now in Speedway?
Yeah, I'd love to do it. I wouldn't change a thing from then, but I'd also love to be a 15-year-old now, to have the opportunities, and then be able to have the 1-2, whatever the wee ones are on, then they go up and they get to the 250s, and then they go to 500s. That youth system now is brilliant. And the kids have been riding for years and years, racing each other, and then they've got the backing and they've got the backing of the Team GB and everything like that, where they learn how to do it properly.
It's a brilliant infrastructure. The whole thing,
isn't it? Fantastic.
Like the ground up, it is. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Like back in the day, it was us just learning by yourself, really. And that was it. And then you go like to Lee's era, when he started on the grass, there was a few boys in Uri. There wasn't a Lee that came through by doing the grass, and that was the other way of getting through at Speedway was through the grass.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, There was Richard Hall, wasn't there? The Kingies.
Yeah.
Jason King, Daniel King,
That's right.
D Boxall. All them lot. We all came through grass. And like I say, it was one of those where it did help us, but then the style were different. Do you know what I mean? Well,
yeah,
my style were different anyway. But
you've kept the tradition going and the style from the grass, haven't it?
Yeah, definitely. But I think with them lads, they started it earlier than I did. I obviously didn't start it until foot and mouth came, and that's the only reason why I got into Speedway, because grass track wasn't running.
Yeah.
So,
right, okay.
But yeah, there's a lot. I think I can't think of anyone else. But there's loads of people who've been on the grass.
Were you ages with Jamie Robertson and young Granty? Was that you the same age as them?
So Jamie Robertson and Granty was in my class then. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I thought that. I've been to a couple of meetings with him years back with Jamie, I think, and I think that's when I first met you and your old man.
Yeah. Well, Granty used to make the gate, and he used to have his leg out that far. You couldn't go inside him, and you wouldn't dare go around him.
and then he'd go down the street like that. Anyway.
Literally like that. Yeah.
And you boys will have had a bit of time on the track together as well. I mean, it's for Kev, it must be quite looking at the league just now. I mean, Kev's involved heavily with the Bullets in the National League, but I would say, Lee, you're probably the only one that's riding the National League at the minute that Kev will have actually had any track time with back in day, as you would say.
Back in day.
I can't remember. You must be able to tell me, Lee. I can't remember.
Yeah. You rode at Newcastle, and I was Sheffield, wasn't I?
Okay, right, okay. Yeah. I might have been able to be near you at Newcastle. I wouldn't have been nowhere near you at Sheffield. I might have seen you at the pit gate getting pushed out. That'd be the last I saw you.
I always used to get a good tyre off Kev for the second half. So I always used to get a good tyre off Kev at either Kings Lynn or Sheffield.
Yeah.
For my second half in. I'll get a decent second hand tyre off Kev. He's going to Sheffield on Thursday. Know the favourite place in the world.
You could as well go and play with me instead.
But I mean, saying that, Kev, I mean, Sheffield, would you say that was probably your least favourite track in the country?
Yeah, absolutely. Hate the place. Couldn't get around it.
Why was that? Because it was different to Newcastle, or just different?
And my style, the way I rode the bike and everything, that did not work around the big track. I mean, I used to ride at Bradford and I loved it, and I could get round most of the other ones, but Sheffield, don't know, just didn't happen around there. I had a couple of decent races over a career. Maybe a couple of decent races the whole times I was ever at Sheffield, but I could never get on with the place. It just basically used to frighten the life out of me. I always felt like I was turning rice.
Different to Berwick then?
Yeah, completely.
See,
if I was at Sheffield, I always felt like I was going to go. I always felt like I was going to disappear through the pit gate or out through the second bend. I always felt like I was turning right. Weird. And I think that happened a few times, and I could not get it back from that ever again.
But that era at Sheffield,
I'll have to watch you boys around Sheffield, and that was fantastic. And I was just like, kind of, how do you do it? I could never cracked it.
Looking at Sheffield from that era, I know that friend of the show, Ricky Ashworth, put a photo on, and the tracks like that.
Yeah, well, that was the other problem, because it was like that all the time. Every time I went there, I think they made it twice as deep when I turned up.
It was.
It seemed like that anyway. Jeez,
it was. You don't see Speedway kicking up that much roost off someone's leg, and the photo that Ricky had posted, like his leg back and the shale coming off his leg, it's spectacular. But you watch all the old meetings from back then, and like Lee and Andre and Ricky, them kind of boys, they got round that place well. I mean, that was you could really turn the style on round there.
In that era as well, like it was a total fortress as well. Like Sheffield were nigh on untouchable at home, like in that era. From memory, I think they went on this huge undefeated sort of streak at home, and it was it was easy to see why. And if riders are sort of not necessarily beaten before they get there, but it was always tough going there at that time. And I think as times went on, there is riders that have probably maybe relish a visit there more than they perhaps did back in that sort of time.
James, can you remember Klaus Christensen always had an injury just before he had to go to Owlerton? He was capable of 120 miles on the A1 between Berwick and Edinburgh, but Owlerton didn't fancy that.
Like back in the day when we used to race at Sheffield, obviously you remember I used to make the gate all the time back then. So I was never at the back. I remember we used to be going to the corner, and I always remember you have to go that fast into the corner when you're going wide there, because the shale, when it used to hit you, used to actually send you backwards. You could feel yourself going backwards and getting heavier and heavier. So you had to go past them going into the corner, so you were getting out of the dirt, flicking onto you, because you'd come in, you have to bang all the dirt off you because you just stick to you, and you used to be like, another stone heavier.
Yeah. I never experienced that. I was like either on the white line or that far behind, just the rooster dropped.
I do remember Kev saying is the two things that you need to go to Sheffield are 2 Speedway stars to put down your right leg, because the pain you'll be in if you're behind somebody is ridiculous. It's stick 2 Speedway stars round the thigh, and it'll not be bad. And there's not so many tracks like that nowadays when you get, but I do remember it getting, it is just like somebody throwing darts into your leg if you're coming along the straight and you're getting that much kicking up on you. I think maybe it's because the tracks are a little bit slicker now. But
I had to put lumps of cardboard down my legs.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, lumps of cardboard, and then on my arms, cardboard. Because obviously, I just come back, it used to be black and blue, like I will literally just, covered in
there's a few tracks like that when you come back with the old black and blue. And it's when the Kevlars came in, it was 100 times worse, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was
There's a good bit of nostalgia there for you, Kev. Graham McCleary's joined in. You nearly won the last ever race at Barrington, Kev, if not for an engine failure.
That's right, the engine blew to bits.
And a good quiz question for you there, James and Paul. You can't answer on this, but Kev, Lee, I'll give you boys a shot. Who did win the last ever race round Barrington? That race that your engine went.
Can I phone a friend?
You can phone a friend. Would you like to phone? You can phone Paul or James.
I'll tell you.
I would phone Marty. I would phone Marty.
He'd be my go-to. Like I wouldn't know. I have been told, but I wouldn't know.
We've come across this before.
We've had this conversation before.
Yeah, it was
so embarrassing.
I could tell you. It was Glenn Taylor.
It was Glenn Taylor.
Yes.
It was, yes. Glenn Taylor. Kev, just about minute. But you were.
It was for. It was the last race, and it was the Kenny Carter Memorial Trophy, as well. That's what it was raced for. So it was a bit. I wanted to kind of win that, but it wasn't to be.
That's a bit of a. Did you enjoy Barrington, Kev? I mean,
yeah, brilliant. Loved it.
Would have suited you quite well, that track. I've watched many videos of you going in there.
That's what I learned. So I loved it.
And the same with Armadale. The seasons you had there as well.
Kind of, but, why I didn't like Sheffield so much, because I was brought up at Burton Lough and then was kind of better around the smaller ones maybe, or the tighter ones, than the big flat out ones. Although, as I say, I did enjoy some of them, but I think the Sheffield thing, when it was like that, and it was like.
So Kev, say go back then. So say if you started off at Sheffield, do you think you could have learned to ride it, and then obviously then been able to ride the small tracks as well? I mean,
well,
I
maybe
was a track rider, so then I didn't do well on the small tracks. Yeah. I've come back this time, and I've purposely gone to small tracks. In my eyes, I've come on leaps and bounds, definitely on the small tracks. Yeah. So in your eyes, if you started on the Sheffield track, do you think you could?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. But then when I was young, I used to go to Bradford every Monday and Tuesday. Used to do training sessions.
Wasn't that a really good track?
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
That was fun and huge as well, and fast, and not Sheffield's shape or anything like that, but it was still big and quick. So
was it a bowl, Kev? Was it kind of like a big bowl?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, big bank corners and everything. That used to stand in the third and fourth corner on the grass, and the fence would be higher than you, a lot higher than you, with the bank on the way up there. It was unreal. First and second was pretty banked as well. What a track! It was superb. But like I learned, and I used to go there whenever they had training schools back in the late 80s, when a Monday or a Tuesday or something. I used to go there all the time when I was a teenager, and but it didn't filter down to go to Sheffield very often anyway. But I never cracked it. I'd love to have a shot at it and got a few meetings there when the track was probably decent or been reasonably slick, and it might be a different story. But when it was a man's track, then boy, I'll tell you. And when you turn up from your Armadale bike, and it didn't work. I was used to sit and stand and watch Peter Carr in there, who could jump in anybody's bike and just make it work, and he was just sensational. And I was like,
are they meant to be bringing Bradford back?
I don't know. Sorry, Jim.
I know. I don't know is the honest answer, but there was. Obviously the track and everything's like there, but I think they maybe use it for stock cars.
Yeah, what I've heard from good sources is it's kind of like ready to go, but they need an investor for the fence and this and another.
Yeah.
And there's talks about literally getting it going, basically.
Yeah. The one thing I had heard about it, which may be a stumbling block, was that the rent for the stadium, like per meeting, was like colossal. So it was like if you're having a meeting, like it would almost to the point where it wouldn't be viable for like a season's worth of racing, in terms of the cost per meeting or per week or whatever it would be. So that may be the thing. But then the other side of that coin is if you're better getting something than nothing. So if there's maybe an agreement to come to it, it would be brilliant. I mean, obviously it'd be good to see any track opening up again. As proved with Oxford and stuff like that this year. It would be great to see Bradford back, particularly when even if it's almost a shadow of its former self, it'd still be great as a sort of spectacle. It's still a great stadium and everything like that.
So that's the same as Workington. They're coming back, but in the National League, is it?
Yeah, but to a completely different track.
Yeah.
So, right. But that track, from what I've seen, looks absolutely fantastic. It's been Dan Bewley's been having a few blasts around it, which was, is good. I mean, the old Workington track, Kev, you'll know yourself. It was a season you did at Workington in 2004. You're right in saying that was a hell of a good team, actually, was it not?
2005 it was, yeah. It was a good team. It kind of disintegrated as a team as the year went on because we all got injured as the season went on, so it kind of spoiled it a bit. But they had good potential.
You done your shoulder blade, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I did my shoulder blade in the end, yeah.
Because that was the year that was the year I first had a shot of a Speedway bike.
Right.
Went straight for the beach, and then went to Workington and thought it was just going to be the same sort of thing. Didn't really know about the traction. Came along the straight like that, and then went and tipped it down the corner and just went boom. And Charles and James Wright's mother came over to me at the end of the meeting and said, "I think you need a little bit more time on the beach before you do anything on that. You really scared us all tonight." And I just went flat out down the home straight, and it just didn't turn. I'm going, "That'll go eventually. It's bound to break away." There's a fence. So that was my first shot there. But Workington, I mean, that must have came about funny for you because, like you say, you'd been at. Would I be right in saying it was Newcastle? Did you be at Newcastle the year before? Going there?
Yeah, I've been in Newcastle for a few seasons before I went to Workington. But I think I can't really remember it correctly, but it was when Graham Drury was there, and I don't know if that was his first year taking over it at Workington from. It must have been Ian at the time who maybe wasn't there anymore. I can't mind, but it was Graham Drury that took me there anyway. But because he was somewhere before that. I can't remember. But Graham Jury took me to Workington and was part of that team with obviously Stoney, a young James Wright, a very young James Wright, Scott Robson, Sean Tacey, Nemo was the other guy.
Nemo, yes, Nemo
guy as well. So we're a good team, good crack.
So
it was never a dull moment.
So you went there then? Did you, when you went there as an away rider, did you like the track, or was it when you went there as a rider there you learned to like it? Because
Workington.
Yeah,
but I didn't mind. It was just the shape of Sheffield that was a problem for me.
Right.
But I like Workington. I love riding there. Because we'd obviously been there since, I think, did it open in the late 90s?
99.
99, yeah. So obviously we'd been there for, since then for away matches, whether it be for Edinburgh or Newcastle. So you're there quite a lot anyway. You must have been there 3 or 4 times a year. So I'd enjoyed riding the track up to that point. And then,
would I be right in saying that Scott Courtney was in that team as well, Kev?
Yes, he was. I did. I forget to mention his name. Yes, he did. He came across at the beginning of it. And it just was a story behind that because we were both in America at the time doing the ice, and I got the chance to come to Workington when I was out there. I think I did a deal then, and Scott was out there with me, and it was only a matter of time when he got signed up as well to come and start the season at Workington as well. And he was enjoying racing in America at the time, so he was looking forward to going back into racing on a full-time basis, because I don't think he was prior to that, or he'd been injured. But he got a bit of confidence in America to get going again. And he did a few meetings and he kind of got going. I can't remember what happened. I don't think he did the full season. I'm not too sure what happened.
That must have been some experience that in America.
Yeah. You
remember much from that trip?
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. And that was the second year that we did it. And it was all Anthony Barlow's brainwave to put this thing together. And we went across and put him on the map, because it was his first ever season or winter doing it. And he put on 6 rounds across America over the first, I think, 6 rounds in 6 weeks, or 6 and 7 weeks, something like that. And he hadn't obviously looked at a map when he'd set it up, because we had, we were at one end of Florida, and then we were at the top end of Massachusetts one week, and then we were back down to Florida the next week, and things like that. It was like, could you not have just done it in a nice circle instead of being up thousands of miles that way, thousands of that, back that way again, and all? Like, it'd have been better flying. But anyway, that was all part of the fun, because we did lots of traveling, and we were all in a minibus for the whole of that time, and it was a resounding success. There were some good lads on it, and we all wanted to make it work, and it was a great show, and it was brilliant. That good that we all went back the next year. It was
and he's still doing it now.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, he's still doing it now. I don't think, obviously we keep an eye on it. That the sort of British guys or European blokes that go across to ride it as Speedway as such, because it doesn't seem to happen anymore, unfortunately. But there was a sort of nucleus of boys that went there for a few years, and it's good. It was really good at the time. What it's like now, I don't know if it's quite as big a tour or that, but it was brilliant at the time. I can't really describe how it was. It was like being. It was all new to us all. We had no idea what was going on. We turned up and we were like rock stars for 6 weeks. It was just incredible. That's the best way to describe it.
I think it was discussed in the Black and Gold when Anthony Barlow was over this year about getting a few boys over. And I think the majority of the boys, after a few drinks, had agreed to, no, we'll do this and we'll do that. And that's it, yeah. Aye, but then, as you know, everything slowly starts to. You wake up in the morning going, "I hope I've not signed anything," or because the Black and Gold can be a funny old place for conversations and deals to happen.
Many a deal been struck in the Black and Gold, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Many a life ruined.
It was. We were all very green when we went across there, and and it started off in Glasgow Airport when we left, because we had obviously we're taking all our kit across there in whatever ways, means, and fashions of boxes and bags, to get on the plane. And first of all, when I put my bag on the scales, and your limit then was 32, and I plunked mine on, and it was at 45. So that was problem number one, and that's and we built a bit of the old jiggery pokery with the scales in the airport, and we got it down to a kind of floating 31.5. And the guy was, okay, that'll do fine. And off it went into the conveyor belt, and that's it. And then we got stopped at Newark Airport on the way across, and we could see through a screen somewhere, and the guys they've got suitcases open. There's bits of bikes and wheels and frames and all over the place, which made us kind of late for the connecting flight. But anyway, we got past through all that. Next thing, connecting flight. A guy took us to the airport. Yeah, where are you going? St. Louis. Off we went. He says, that end of the airport. So we walked all the way to that end of the airport, and there was no flight for St. Louis. So we came back and eventually found out where it was. It had left like half an hour earlier. So it just that was kind of the trip. It was just like that the whole time. It was all just kind of a winging of a prayer the whole time. But that was the start of it. That was the start of the shenanigans.
And all downhill for there.
Pretty much so, yeah. Pretty much.
I could imagine the liver must have taken a bit of abuse as well, Jan, and then.
Yeah, we sampled a bit of the local, the old American stuff. It was good. It was good.
And God knows, do you think that's because Davy Meldrum went over where you on? Did he go on one of the trips or two?
No, he was there from the start. It was Davy Meldrum, Scott Courtney, the Kenny Olsen, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, and Alan Farrow. From Berwick as well. Kenny Olsen was a Swede. I might be forgetting somebody. Anyway, but that was kind of the nucleus of it.
Was James Mann not across? Because is he not stay across there now?
Yeah, Manny was there.
Or was he after that? Maybe
he was either already there but didn't do the tour, or he went there afterwards. I think Ricky went across as well latterly. Manny might have went with him, and Manny didn't come back. He found a lovely American lady to live with.
And I'm pretty sure that the Americans would have been in awe of Ferro bouncing around the ice. That must have been spectacular to see. There's a story to that, is there no?
Yeah, I don't know. We've not called First Ben Ferro for nothing. Yeah, he did like a. He did struggle. To be fair to him, he did struggle. It was hard the first few meetings for him, because he really struggled at it. And he was a bit raw anyway on the bike, and the ice thing was pretty brutal. And he had a bit of a tough time for the first few meetings. But he got going. Fair play to him. He got going. He stuck at it. He didn't throw a towel in, and he got going. But it was tough for him. Definitely. He bent a lot. He bent a lot of kit, and broke a lot of things in his first few meetings. But like I say, he stuck at it. He got going.
And then obviously, sorry,
Paul. Gentlemen, we are over the hour already. Would you believe it?
Oh Christ, on a bike, yeah. Look at that.
I know. And I realise that like particularly Lee, you've just come home from work, so you've got other things to get onto. Could we please just wind this up and let everybody, if that's okay with you, Greg?
Yes, we can do that. Not a problem. I mean, I guess the best thing we could possibly do here is, well, at the end of season, especially for the Bullets, and you will have to definitely get a few of the Bullets back in, Kev. I'm sure we could. You'll be quite happy to join us.
Yeah, that's it. And they've got a big, and the rest of the boys know we've got semi-finals this weekend, so hopefully we'll do well in that. Maybe a boy on next week or something to talk us through that. Hopefully it goes well. But no, big meeting this Saturday for us all.
And no, it's going to be a big one. And I mean, the main aim there is, earlier I was watching the BSN, and the guys were saying, obviously, it's a fact. Leicester, Oxford, the tracks are pretty similar. Whereas Berwick and Mildenhall, it's polar opposites. So we need to do as much damage to them on Saturday night as we possibly can, and
be helpful.
try and keep that score level so we can make it to the big grand final. So yeah, we'll have a bit show about that. And sure, we could have a wee chat in between the next meeting. So it'd be lovely.
Yeah. Sorry to be so blunt, but if we could save some of our conversation for a later time, I've got plenty on my list to go through, both with Kevin and with Lee, and James. But if we can save that for a later date, that would be absolutely great.
Sure.
I was wondering if we've got any
scissors tonight, by the way. I always play with something. It's scissors I've found tonight.
Well, I've got the corkscrew. So
it's something random.
Yeah. Gentlemen.
It's a bloke thing, isn't it? It's a bloke thing.
I'm feeling really adventurous. I've got two.
Oh, bloody hell.
That'll count as multitasking.
Make your own mind up.
It's just to keep my hand off the beer.
Well, there you go. No, well, you're quite right, Paul. We'll get the guys back on again. We'll let everybody get away off the bed, and hopefully we'll all see you Saturday trackside. And of course, if you can't make it, then get it on the BSN and sit back, relax with Chinese. It's not going to be the same as being there, but yeah, we'll all see you Saturday. And Lee will hopefully catch up with you at some point. Maybe we could get you a away track when the bullets are there, and you could tell us how to bounce off the fence or something.
Yeah. Well, just to let you know, when you say going to bed, I'm going to garage now to do my bike. For some people, do you know what I mean? Life's hard, isn't
it? I wouldn't know. So yeah, well, no worries, lads.
Lee, Greg gets Kevin to do his bike for him.
Yeah, no,
I didn't want to say anything.
Kevin does all the hard
work. I'm going to poach Kev, I think, to be honest with you, for next year.
The only reason that we've got Kev doing the bike is because when my bike gets warmed up, people have to stand like that underneath it and catch everything that falls off it.
Anyway,
quite bad at tightening stuff up.
One final thing is that I did, obviously, I adopted Greg Blair a couple of weeks back, maybe a month back, and Drew Blair was quite happy to let me adopt him. Greg, Lee, could I please adopt you? Could you please be my son?
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
How many beer have you had tonight?
I've been drinking coffee.
What's in the bloody thing? Is it an Irish coffee?
Hey, Greg, I'm not that bad.
Well, lads, we'll let you get on, and we'll speak to you later. Thanks for coming on. And
Greg, just a moment. Let's let everybody have a final word, and then you can have the final word. Okay.
All right. Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
Kevin, you go.
Final word. Come to the Speedway on Saturday. You'll be thoroughly entertained. Win or lose, the Bullets are up for it, and I'm sure the Fen Tigers are as well. But it should be a really good meeting. The weather's going to be good on Saturday. It's a bit shite for the rest of this week, but it'll be fine on Saturday, so no drama there. It'll be an entertaining night, and it'll be all on for the semi-final.
Lee?
Yeah, good luck to all the lads. Obviously, stay safe. But there'll be some good, exciting riding because there always is up at Berwick, no matter what team's there or if they do well or not. There's always good racing, and I might actually pop up to that one because I think it'd be good to watch. Definitely. So good luck, lads.
James?
Yeah, best of luck to the Bullets on Saturday. We'll all be there cheering them on. As I say, I think win, lose or draw, irrespective of what happens, I think the lads can be proud of their efforts. But knowing them like I think I do anyway, I think they'll all be going for it. So yeah, best of luck to everybody. As I say, everybody stay safe, and we'll catch you next time.
Greg, final word to you.
Yep, aye, we'll see you there, and I'll try my best to get out the gate and just make it happen. But aye, see you on Saturday.
You will, because I'm doing your clutch plates extra special this week.
Lovely, right? Well, you've heard it here for Kev. I'm going to be doing 5 starts on Saturday. Right, gents, we'll see you later. Cheers, mate.
See ya.
Bye.
For that. So let's just pop up that video of Greg Blair, because he thinks that we've gone off stream, but we haven't quite yet. So let's put up that video again of Greg Blair. Kevin, I know you.
So there's nothing a given in this one, but you can bet your bottom dollar the box office Blair will be doing absolutely everything to throw the proverbial at the Venn Tiger Man should he need it.
Yeah, it's we've been treated to some fantastic action here tonight.
We really have.
And you know, National League Speedway, it's pretty bloody entertaining.
It really is, and you only hope from a bullet's perspective that Greg's dug deep into his toolbox, reached out and found a start out of somewhere and can just rip snort away from the start, get his wheels in line. But we're about to find out in this one, James. Revs going high, start marshal away, tapes rise. Who's made the best fist of it? It's Alex Spooner and white, but Ben Rathbone on the inside's made a brilliant start. Curry block the move of Alex Spooner, and here comes box office as well.
Yeah, Ben Rathbone making a rip snorting start there, getting the better of Alex Spooner, and Greg Blair is in third place at the moment. A 4-2 to the bullets as things stand at the moment, but you just know that Greg Blair's going to throw absolutely everything that he has at Alex
Here
Spooner.
comes Blair.
Here comes Greg Blair going for the big
Nothing
blast.
quite there for Blair.
Not quite getting there. Alex Spooner hangs on into second place. Here it comes again, round bend 1 and 2. 2 laps to go.
There's
Blair comes
Blair
round to the inside.
Can he make it work over the corner? He's done him.
Bullets on a 5-1, which means if it stays like this, or at least the worst they can do is a draw tonight. Absolute crucial.
My goodness.
Blair all out of shape. What on earth are you doing, Greg Blair? But Ben Rathbone out in front, looking so fast and so stylish. And if it stays like this, he's going to be the man of the match for me tonight. Ben Rathbone's been absolutely tremendous.
Bucking and rearing all over the shop, managing to stay on the bicycle.
High, wide and handsome indeed is Greg Blair.
Yes. Ben Rathbone's stealing a march.
Yeah, Ben Rathbone. Reserve switch. What an astute bit of team management that was.
It really was, and hats off to him. He made a brilliant start, rode a clever first and second bend, and well, you said it before the race, if there was a man that you needed to do the business when it mattered, it was box office, and he duly delivered. He was more out of shape than Zebedee at times, but he done the business, and I would say that he's pretty chuffed with that one.
I don't know.
Absolutely buzzing.
Does he look chuffed to you?
Just a bit. And the T-sider, Ben Rathbone behind him.
I tell you, for me tonight, Ben Rathbone's been man of the match for me tonight.
I can't go against that, you know. And of course, one race to go.
Crucial.
The Bullets have put themselves in a fantastic driving seat in this one.
They really have. 44-40, one race to go, which was